thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you coming to have the conversation together. First thing I want to talk about is IBID's 25th anniversary year and what that means in your perspective, in your point of view.
Sure. Well, first off, we're very proud to reach this milestone of 25 years. It was something that the people of this community felt strongly about. Residents, property owners, business owners, feeling that they wanted to achieve more, that there was more that this community was capable of doing. And the theme to our 25 years has been celebrating 25 years of service. And that's really what the IBID has done when it comes to clean and safe programs, quality of life, business development, working in partnership with the City of Newark, supplemental service providers, working with DPW, code enforcement, Newark PD. You know, it's a collective action, but it's all about service to the people who live here, work here, as well as the people who come to visit every week.
Yeah. Something that I really appreciate about you, Vince, is your sense of story. Like, you get the story of the things, you know what I mean, and the narrative, and that there are multiple narratives of any given thing.
Sure.
You know? So for us here as stakeholders in Newark, it's important for us to be staunch about the narrative and protective, but also to speak out.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's important for us to talk about Newark the same way people outside Newark are willing to talk about Newark. You know what I mean? That in mind, there is the business community in Ironbound. There's the corporate community in Ironbound and in Newark at large. But there's the residential community. There's the people who live here, the people who show up to work, you know, at these small businesses and large corporations and everything in between. How does IBID work with the people as much as it's working with the, you know, DPWs and code enforcement and businesses? You know, how do you connect with the residents and people?
Sure. I mean, one example immediately comes to mind is our long-term friendship and partnership with the Ironbound Community Corporation, ICC. Now, we don't always agree on everything when it comes to development.
Of course.
Okay. But we do agree when it comes to quality of life. We agree when it comes to fighting for environmental justice for the Ironbound community at large, standing up for our community and showing up for our community. You know, we have been there for them when they've asked us to. They've been there for us. And that's just part of how this neighborhood works. Again, it's an interesting overlay of residential with the business community. It doesn't always work like that. And it's been helpful, you know, through tough times that there's the residents are our customers are our friends. It's been very, very important through good times and bad. And also to show that welcome. I mean, for a lot of people, the Ironbound is the first place they experience when they get to Newark because of the gateway of Newark Penn Station. So we want to show well for Newark. And you know, the Ironbound has its own distinct identity, I think. And for 25 years, the IBID has invested in branding the Ironbound, so people will really understand what it means. You know, I think our hope is moving forward, the city of Newark will continue to follow in that path. In that, now's the time for us to define who and what Newark stands for, as opposed to letting somebody else control our narrative. Manage the conversation, I think, is always in our best interest, because who knows better about Newark than the people who are Newarkers.
One thing about Newarkers is that as the more engaged in the city you are, the more you realize that there are various perspectives. There isn't one Newark perspective. There isn't one Newark culture. There are various. There's a multitude of perspectives, a multitude of cultures, and you know, accepting that and appreciating that allows you to respect the different perspectives and cultures that you might not share.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, the city of Newark has been known for having distinct neighborhoods, and the wards have their own, you know, individual styles and flares and what's about them. But at the end of the day, it all contributes to the greater Newark,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
vision for the greater Newark, And, I think cities all over the world have similarly embraced the various aspects of their city that are not all homogenous.
Right, right.
The people are not all
Yeah.
homogenous.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
restaurants, the music, the art, the culture is not all homogenous. To me, that makes a strong city, a
Yeah.
diverse, integrated, cooperative, collaborative city with so much to offer, flown on the radar for so long. So many young people here just ready to break out, to help take Newark to the next level.
Yeah.
We've been here for 25 years in this community. We hope we'll be here for another 25 because exciting times are ahead. We want to be part of that.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned to me before the 3 pillars of clean, safe, and welcoming, right? And that sit at the forefront of IBID's, how IBID caretakes, I would say, right? And that welcoming part is something I definitely want to talk about.
Yeah.
Because you can hire out cleaning, you can hire out safety, you can't hire out welcoming.
Yeah, and maybe that's has to do with the fact that so many people in Newark have come from someplace else. Whether it's migrating here from another part of the United States, across the oceans to be here. People have been welcomed into Newark as an immigrant city for over 350 years. That the welcome mat has been out. It continues to be out and saying we're welcome. There's opportunity here, but you're right. Welcome is a personal thing. That's by the smile that greets you, the smell of the food in one of our restaurants that hits you when you walk through the door, the sound of music that is a little different maybe than what you're used to, but is interesting and intriguing all the same. Those are all signs of a welcoming neighborhood. I mean, some of it is practical, Tehsuan. The banners on Ferry Street, that's the Ironbound Business Improvement District does that. The flower planters that we take great pride in, we've invested in that. Or our business community, our members of our organization have invested in that for the benefit of the people who live here, including themselves, business owners here, but also the people who come to visit. And I think people can sense that right away. And part of that management philosophy, clean, safe, and welcoming, is so that people do notice. And that idea starts to propagate. That people, when they speak about the Ironbound in Newark, start saying positive things, sharing positive experiences, that people will get a sense of what's Newark really all about. What's the vibe? And I think that's something that's been missing for a long time, that people really don't get the vibe of Newark and the different vibes.
Right. Yeah. So one of the hot button conversations right now in Newark and specifically in Ironbound has to do with development. And Ironbound is a great example of people who are very much adamant about respecting and maintaining legacy and tradition and history and culture, as well as embracing growth and the evolution, the inevitable evolution. There isn't a stoppage to be expected. This is happening. The growth is happening, the expansion is happening, the development is happening. Do you think Ironbound is ready for its own future?
I think Ironbound and Newark and Ironbound are linked. They're one and the same. Some differences from different parts of the city, the culture, the vibe that's here. But the thing about the East Ward in the city of Newark is it's the largest ward in the city. We still have room to expand. The city of Newark currently has a population of roughly 300,000. Tens of thousands of more people could live here comfortably. There's space. It's not a situation where people are being pushed out. Some of our big developments taking place in the Ironbound right now are taking place on property that was not previously developed or has sat vacant for years and years and years. People are not being displaced. But I think what's happening is that we're seeing new development some of it on a more luxury upscale basis,
Yep.
close to the train station in the MX3 zone, which makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Development near your mass transportation node. But there's also, housing that's appropriate, for others, people at different spectrums
Yeah.
of where they're at economically here. There's still places for people in Newark,
Yeah.
as other places in the metro area. Brooklyn used to be a very affordable place. Not so much anymore.
Right.
So people are still finding value opportunities with great culture, great restaurant, great music, great mass transit connectivity. It makes for an interesting place to live and to work and be part of a community in a city that's really growing and changing and expanding on a daily basis. A lot of it gets under the radar screen, I still believe, but more and more is happening as the World Cup comes to New Jersey next year. We're going to see that impact in the city of Newark, and we're going to be ready for it.
Yeah. What do you envision for the future? Like, what is Ironbound 25 years from now look like in your mind?
That's a good question, Tehsuan. I think one, we are going to see continued development of bigger projects. Again, clustered in that area around the train station because that connectivity is important.
Yeah.
But we also see lots of smaller development projects taking place in our neighborhood. A 2-family home maybe expanding to a 4-family.
Yep.
That kind of stuff flies under the radar screen quite a bit. The bigger projects obviously get the bigger amount of attention, but all of those are accretive to a dynamic city with residential opportunities kind of across the board. It's not all high end, it's not all low end. We've got a mix. And I think that's something the city will benefit from as we move forward. And people, at different points in their own experience, take advantage of the different things that we can offer them.
Yeah, to kind of circle back a little bit, I asked, if you think Ironbound is ready for its own future. Because in that conversation of development and gentrification and people migrating in, there has been the experience in other cities of the new people coming in and appreciating this space where the incumbent residents hadn't. And I don't think that that's the case in Newark. The way it's been seen in other cities. So the reason why I say that I don't think it's the case in Newark is because there is more homegrown development going on. People are becoming developers, and there are programs to educate people and to bring people up in development so that they can engage and invest and be active in the growth and not just occupy.
Sure. Yeah, and I think I'm very proud of our business community and those investing in real estate development here, because they are accessing programs and support. Invest Newark, the Economic Development Agency for the City of Newark, very, very helpful. New Jersey EDA has all kinds of programs available as well. It gives people incentive to maybe think bigger. If I can do this, even most of Newark is in the UEZ zone, which creates other opportunities, not just lower sales tax for customers, but if you are investing in your business and you want to invest in new refrigerators or things like that, those programs can help you as well, and they're very, very beneficial. So I think the city collectively, in terms of people who are operating in this space, and I mentioned Invest Newark and Newark Alliance and the IBID working along with them and the ADAs, we're working collaboratively to match people up to the right opportunities, to make people aware of things that maybe they didn't know about before. Why? Because it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the city, it's a win for our district, and it's a win for people who are getting an opportunity to create a new business, expand a business, and build their future, find their dreams here in Newark.
Last question for you.
Sure.
Take your time. Describe a perfect day in Ironbound.
A perfect day in Ironbound. Wow, that's a great question. You know, I think that starting in the morning and getting a great cup of coffee,
Of course.
and we have some amazing places to do that. You know, is there a Dunkin' Donuts in our district? Yeah, there is one, but that's
Right.
that's just one of many more
Right,
local coffee providers at all different levels.
Yep.
So start there. Stroll on Ferry Street, look in the shop windows, everything from a store with soccer gear as good as any you'll find in the country, the jewelry stores here, even just the smell of the charcoal burning, in our restaurants, the smell of the garlic sauteing, the sound of the world music that's emanating from places as you stroll, a great lunch. And a lunch in the Ironbound can be everything from a high-end restaurant with some really amazing food, to much simpler fare. I tell people one of my favorite places, a bakery in the Ironbound, a chicken cutlet sandwich on a fresh baked Portuguese roll, lettuce and tomato. It's $8.
Yeah, you can't beat it. Yeah.
2 empanadas, freshly made, still warm from being baked. $6.
Right.
So, people who think that things are too expensive and prices are high, and yes, they are and growing, but there's always affordability in the Ironbound when it comes to food and opportunities. So I've had my lunch. Now, if I'm lucky, maybe I would get a siesta in the afternoon. And then the nighttime starts a whole nother vibe here. The evening begins, the music changes, the lights go down. The scene is a little bit more, people out and about, having, an interesting time, meeting some nice people, listening to great music, drinking great wine. And I think you add all that up, that makes for a special day. Weekends are very interesting here. A Saturday on Ferry Street, or families pushing their carriages, going shopping, doing the things that they need to do for the week. And it's a very, very community-oriented feel to it, to see all of these people out, from people of different age groups, enjoying kind of the same thing in the same atmosphere and feeling comfortable. So, and then I think you end up with the pastel de nata, the signature Portuguese dessert of the Ironbound. People argue all the time about who makes the best one. I could tell you they're all good. It's which one is the best. But that would not be a bad way to end the night. An aged glass of port. And you've had a full Ironbound experience.
I love it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm going to make that my adventure.
There you
have
go.
that day. Thanks so much, Vince.
Happy to welcome you.
Appreciate you.